before we go into the substance of it, just a word on Angela Merkel, because Trump goads her and she artfully dodges each time. What do you think of the way she handles the US president?
No, please remember, 2015, we had the first tweet of Donald Trump on Angela Merkel, when the Time magazine selected Angela Merkel as the person of the year. The tweet from Donald Trump was, I was the favorite in this election, but they will never select me. Instead of me, they've taken a person which is leading Germany towards ruin. And therefore there is a certain paranoia, you may call this, against Angela Merkel. She was too strong with his predecessor, with Obama, and anything that relates to Obama is for Donald Trump a horrible vision.
Do Germans like her style? The fact that she doesn't engage when she doesn't rise to the bait.
She's doing it well in my eyes, not to enter in his field of argumentation, of polemics. And I think she knows exactly that's part of her reputation, that's part of her style. And I think many other leaders in the world have been disturbed in the past by this notorious calm of Angela Merkel. But she will stick to it, even in the future. Look, she's got another question this afternoon in her press conference. If she would prefer to take her holidays with Trump, Putin, or with, I don't know, or Erdogan. And her answer was not any polemic answer, was just holidays are holidays, full stop.
Okay. Let's talk about, because it's been a crazy couple of weeks, right?
Yes.
Especially that NATO summit that we saw.
Was a humiliation of the Europeans. You may call this like this.
Yeah?
I do not share the idea of the last edition of The Economist, who was calling Helsinki as a humiliation. For me, humiliation was Brussels, in my eyes. And I think the allies have done well not to enter into this polemic game with Donald Trump.
So they've chosen the Merkel method, if you will.
Exactly.
When it comes to his provocations, when it came to NATO. But then there's the summit that takes place on Monday. You see a sitting U.S. president asked, who does he believe, Vladimir Putin or his own intelligence agencies? What was your reaction when you heard him sort of say, well, perhaps Mr. Putin?
A victory to Putin. Because, in fact, I think Putin has found in Donald Trump a personality in the Western world who fits much more to his ideas. Both are for more sovereignty, more nationalistic approaches to things. Trump is convinced that all the allies and so-called friends are going to abuse the US. Putin is convinced that others will only offend Russia, and they meet each other. And I think in a Russian view, Donald Trump has totally fulfilled the expectation. The expectation, we are the worldwide biggest nuclear powers who have a certain specific responsibility for the world as a whole.
Should we be happy, worried, or indifferent the fact that they met behind closed doors without advisors?
Well, we have been following this method over years with success. And I think it was a first summit, a first meeting between the two. I think it's important they should meet again. I'm with Angela Merkel on this.
Because the worry was Trump, who's out of his league again.
We have somebody who masters
that masters all the subtleties of.
We have perhaps some hidden results. We have got the first one, this offer of Putin to receive the FBI to look into these American ideas about Russian intervention in the American election campaign.
In exchange for the question.
In exchange.
Of Bill Browder.
I'm happy, the reaction of Donald Trump was, at the end, the right one.
It took him a while.
It took him a long time to answer to this. But perhaps we will know other details on this summit. But I think there are enough subjects and topics to discuss about between the two. Now, and I think it's important to have a certain permanent dialogue. Please, the last visit of a Russian president to the US is now 13 years ago. Please, there should be regular meetings. Confidence building at the end. perhaps in the Donald Trump style, but we have to live with it.
Except
perhaps he will even be re-elected.
We're in
please.
this unprecedented situation where many of his critics in the United States believe that he's beholden somehow to Vladimir Putin, and they see him meeting Putin as dangerous.
Yes, it's true. To some extent, I understand them. On the other hand, please, the American people have elected Donald Trump. And I think there is a growing rift between the US and Europe. There is a growing mistrust, yes. But please, we have to accept he is there. And I think we have to give our answer in our style, following our vital European interests, and not going down to the polemic answers and style of Donald Trump.
Now, earlier, Russia's ambassador to the United States told reporters that Putin and Trump discussed the possibility of a referendum in separatist-leaning eastern Ukraine. Ambassador didn't elaborate on what Putin's solutions would be. The White House has since denied. Mr. Antonov, who, by the same token, blasted the current Minsk protocol under which Germany and France act as brokers in Ukraine.
We have to ask ourselves a question. Does Minsk still exist? If all the countries support the Minsk agreements, then we have to follow them. And as the Ukraine is moving towards the elections, I don't see any desire to follow those Minsk agreements from Ukrainian authorities. So this is where the domestic political nuances in the Ukraine come into play.
Okay, so the White House, since those remarks, rejecting the idea of a referendum for eastern Ukraine. There's the sense when you listen to the Russian ambassador that Moscow's trying it on a little bit.
It's a certain perhaps disinformation, perhaps a style to push forward the Russian agenda on Ukraine. On the other hand, please, we, the Europeans, should enter into a real discussion again with Putin about the future of the Ukraine. I think there has been many mishandlings on both sides.
So is he right when he says that the Minsk agreement is dead right now? Or wonders if the Minsk agreement is dead?
Well, the question, I think, is allowed. Because where's the progress? Where's the real progress in the implementation of a Minsk agreement? You need two sides. You need the Russians, you need the Ukrainians, you need even some locals. And I think even for Putin, a non-implementation of Minsk could become dangerous because the situation could become out of control, even for him. And that's dangerous, would be dangerous for him at home. Please, let's not underestimate, let's say, a possible tension even within the Russian system about handling the Ukraine case. On the other hand, it's clear the Russian, let's call it perception of the Ukraine is still a totally different one to ours. For the Russians, still today, perhaps the independence has been to some extent a sort of accident. They felt it's, well, autonomy, yes, but real independence, no. And I think we have not been listening to the warning signals from Moscow in the last 10, 15 years, several signals. And I think we have broken the red line towards Russia while launching the invitation, a first invitation launched by the Americans to join NATO.
Yeah, the overtures when it comes to NATO, when it comes to the EU.
Yes.
Joachim Bitterlich, I want to thank you so much for joining us.